Y'all, I was sitting here saying good morning to everybody, and I wasn't even on stage. Y'all, I was sitting there saying good morning to everybody and wasn't even on stage. Y'all nah, I just pulled a stupid. Good morning, Michelle. Good morning, CMF Queen. Good morning, James, babe. Good morning, Mr. Eric. Michelle Meltdown. Okay, let me make sure I go grab that channel link right quick. And you know I like to share the wealth and support other people, so I'll grab that channel link right quick. Michelle Meltdown. I'll go ahead and go grab her channel link right quick. I'm going to go ahead and subscribe myself because I was not subscribed. And let me go ahead and share her out. And her picture is a crown with flames in it, right? Just to make sure I got the right channel, to make sure I'm not wrong. I just making sure I'm right. I don't want to accidentally share the wrong person. That would suck. Okay, that's really her. All right, just making sure. That's Michelle Meltdown's channel. She is going to be doing an expose at 1:30 p.m. on a real nut job. So she's going to be going live around 1:30. Now, today is Wellness Wednesday. We all know on Wellness Wednesday we talk about all things health related, whether it be, physical health, mental health, disabilities, things that you're going through in your life. Maybe you have something going on that others may not understand. You want to educate the public about, right? So with my situation, like I've told people I have NAFLD, which I do. I've been diagnosed. I do not have NASH, which is awesome. Um, NAFLD, and mine came from pregnancy. No drinking, no drugs, not being extremely overweight, even though they try to claim I'm fat as hell. Oh well, bitch, I don't give a fuck. Technically, I'm not. If you see me in person, you'll understand. Yes, I do have a little belly roll at the bottom. Do you want to know where that came from? Having a kid. Try having a kid and going through what I went through and then see if you be alright. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. But I wound up with a liver condition, so I can't drink like other people. I don't do drugs. I have to be careful even what, things I put into my body because of my condition. Hey, TNW Logger. Hey, love. Good morning. Um, so I have to be careful even like I can't take Tylenol like other folks, right? I can't take, aspirins and different things like other people can. Um, so I have to be careful with everything. So if y'all are out there today taking a drink of any alcohol, remembrance of me every time you take a sip. I'm just saying, take one for me because I can't do it. I tell people that's like if you got a cookie, when you take a bite, remember me when you eat that cookie because it's going to be delicious. And I love cookies and cakes and ice cream and all the bad things. Because, think about it, if you can't drink, you don't do drugs, you don't do anything, we got to all have a bad habit. Mine just had to be cookies, cakes, and candies. And no, I don't get over a specific poundage in weight because I can't. I don't eat junk food all the time, but when I do, baby, um, I can't get over a certain weight because of my liver. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. How's everybody doing this morning? Y'all got any special plans? Anything cool going on in this world, in this universe? I'm just sitting here chilling. Just woke up, half out of it, drinking my coffee. Mm. Coffee, 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 coffee. Ooh, I love my coffee, y'all. Woo. Lord, sweet baby Jesus, I just woke up and I was half out of a while ago trying to sit there and talk to y'all like I'm really talking, and I didn't even add myself to the stage. That lets you know when somebody is sleepy as all get out. But if y'all do have like something y'all want to educate the public on when it comes to mental health, physical health, any of those things, just let me know. You know what I'm saying? Like I have showed what people's conditions are and explained it in a way. Because here's the thing: most people have misinformation about health, right? Or about someone's, physical condition. Um, and we have absolutely helped spread the awareness and the truth about a situation. Um, and sometimes, like, people don't understand what cerebral palsy is. They have a lot of misinformation on that. Some people don't know what, different health conditions completely are, and there's a lot of misinformation out there. So, what I like to do myself is help clear up those misinformations and kind of help people get an understanding of what really goes on about the differences between things. Like some disabilities are just physical for some people, some can be a combination. When it comes to mental health, a lot of people don't know the difference between bipolar disorder and dissociative identity disorder or ADHD or so on and so forth. A lot of people will also try to use their mental, right, their mental condition as an excuse for bad behavior. ADHD does not make you an asshole. It really doesn't. Um, Bipolar disorder doesn't make you an asshole. you know, so on and so forth. And it doesn't make you be mean to people just because you can. Being a narcissist. Now, we've talked about narcissism before, and narcissistic abuse and what people go through with these different things. There is a syndrome, and a lot of people don't know this. Um, Not only should a person with a mental condition go see a therapist, but every family member that is around them. And let me explain to you why. Okay, here's the thing: someone with certain mental conditions can accidentally put, and not intentionally, do verbal abuse against you and you not realize it, and can cause you to have trauma responses, right? And so if we know our trauma responses, we can help each other, right? Anybody who's been in prison, right? Anybody who's done actual time, um, you should also see a therapist when you get out. Do you want to know why? Because when you're institutionalized and you've been through something like that, right, your brain becomes conditioned to the institutionalization. You have to relearn to live in society after you get out. You have to relearn waking up every morning, going to bed every night. You have to relearn different things and different techniques for that stuff. Just like if you were ever in the military, your schedule changes. Obviously, hey, Jug, FLX promoter. Just like if you were in the military, right? When you get out of the military, and let's say you never saw active duty, let's say you never went to war, right? You still need to make sure that your mental health is taken care of, because you get conditioned in the military to be a specific way. And sometimes a learned behavior that takes years to learn also takes time to unlearn, right? If you've been in prison, if you've went through anything, if you've went to war, if you've actually went to war and had to pull that trigger, and or if you've ever had to pull that trigger in your life, for any amount of reason, whether it be you had no choice but to protect your family, whether it be you used to be in a bad lifestyle or whatnot, those kind of things haunt you for the rest of your life, right? And so you have to go through therapy. And I hope that everyone knows that you should never be made to feel ashamed for going to therapy. You should never feel ashamed of anything that happened in your past, where you came from, whether you started at the bottom or you started at the top. As long as you are a good person and you're good to other people, That's really all that matters, right? That's really all that matters. Truly. We're going to look up today, um, because I've talked about many different subjects in mental health, and May is mental health awareness. I don't know if y'all know that, but May, the month of May, is for mental health awareness, right? And there's a bunch of different mental disorders, right? And there's all different kind of things that go with taking care of your mental health. There's also many different kind of therapists. Depending on what your situation is, depends on what you might need to go see for a therapist, right? You may need to see a trauma specialist. You may need, you could possibly get away with just a regular psychologist. There's different forms and different versions of mental health for different situations. If you have an eating disorder, you may actually need to go to a clinic that specializes in eating disorders, right? If you have bipolar disorder and you're trying to get medication to help yours, you will go to a different kind. But you don't just need, there's psychotherapy, there's talk therapy, group therapy. You know, a lot of people with alcoholics go to Alcoholics Anonymous. A lot of people who are past drug users go to groups, right? And group therapy can help because you can talk to someone who can relate to your condition, that can relate to what you have going on, right? Um, So, understanding schizophrenia, understanding bipolar, understanding DID, which is dissociative identity disorder, understanding your ADHD for those of us who are team neurodivergent like me. What's up, team neurodivergent? Um, understanding your condition can help you find different ways to cope, different ways to live with it, right? Because there is no cure for a lot of mental health conditions. There's absolutely no cure, right? There are things that can treat the disorder and keep it in check, but no actual cure. Like my ADHD, I've had it from the time I was little, and I will have it to the day I die. It will never go away. It will always be there. Like a friend that I don't want, right? My ADHD is like a friend that I don't want. Um, I've had ADHD my entire life. A lot of times it does run in families. Um, you know, but you can, with ADHD and different disorders, I will say, you can learn coping mechanisms and skills without medication if you don't want to medicate right away, to help you deal with the situation. You know. Oh, okay, I will, Mr. Rubin, because, okay, I'll let her know. I'll let her know. I have to text her. It's just I so busy with it, and it's been raining yesterday, so I had to bring in the new puppy, and she is on 1,000. Like when I say she is on 1,000, she don't know whether to sit, scratch her butt, or run around. And she kept me up this morning until 3 o'clock this morning. I think it was 2:30 in the morning when she finally went to sleep because she wanted to play and play and play. Well, if you do fall back asleep, Mr. Rubin, I hope you get good rest, because we all need to get our REM sleep. We all need to get our sleep because, and this goes with Wellness Wednesday, if we don't get our sleep, right, it can actually affect our physical health. People don't know that. It affects your mental health and your physical health if you don't get enough sleep. And technically, when the older we get, we didn't really need the naps they gave us in kindergarten and first grade. Technically, you need those naps when you get older. Technically, you need more sleep the older you get than when you're younger. And they'll actually tell you that. If you look up how much sleep you actually need, um, you can look it up by age. Like, I'm not joking, by age. It says newborns 0 to 3 months need 14 to 17 hours of sleep. Infants 4 to 11 months need 12 to 16 hours. Toddlers 1 to 2 years old need 11 to 14. Preschoolers 10 to 13. School age children 9 to 12 hours. Teenagers 8 to 10. Adults 7 to 9. And then you'll start, and they say older adults 65 plus 7 to 8. Now I will say that's some BS because somewhere around preteen or middle school age, you don't need as much as you do the older you get. I'm just telling you, you need way more sleep when you're older than when you're younger. Because, yeah, it does start going up. See, that's the crazy part. When you get to be an adult, you need seven or more per night. When you're a senior, you need 7 to 9 per night. And it's like a bell curve, and down the centers when you're like an adult, and it's like the older you get, the more you need. Oh, it's crazy. And also there is different studies that say different things about it. REM sleep is very important though, for just about anybody. But I will say once you passed, I would say age 30. I'm gonna tell you this, Mr. Rubin. My therapist told me I should technically be a life coach. She wanted me to go back to college to become a therapist because I'm just good at it for some reason. I don't know why. Um, don't ask. I don't really know. Uh, I guess because I've helped so many other people and been there for so many other people. I guess it's a life lessons that I've learned that help, if that makes sense. Never had formal training, although I did go see a therapist, and she told me I didn't need therapy. She said, "You already know all the coping mechanisms. How can I help you?" And I told her, I said, "I just wanted to learn new things." And she said, "Well, you could still do therapy. We could still talk about things. And if you have a problem, you can bring it up, and we could do talk therapy. But technically, you already know everything I can teach you." And I'm like, "Well, damn. I thought you might have known something I didn't know because you went to school for it, you know?" And she's like, "No, you already." And she's like, "In fact, I really wish you would go to school for it because you just have a way about you. When you talk to me, you actually make my day better and make me smile." I was the first person who ever asked my therapist how she was and if she was having a good day. And, like most people when they go to therapy, they don't think about that therapists go through a lot having to listen to our problems. It can affect their mental health, right? And she said that I was the first person who ever really truly meant it and asked her, "Are you okay?" You know what I'm saying? I'm really seriously thinking about it, Mr. Rubin, because I only need 3 more years to graduate with a bachelor's degree. I already took two and a half, but some of my credits I don't really need for the social worker. You can actually get it's a bachelor's in social work in 4.5 years here in Tupelo, at ICC in Tupelo. And yeah, actually, my therapist told me that she used our sessions as if I was her therapist because it helped her have a better day and made her feel, better because it was a lot, a lot of the trauma that a lot of people don't understand. You have to be a very strong person mentally to be able to deal with other people's, you know, um, mental issues. Because here's the thing: if you think about it, if you're sitting there listening to someone speak about their essay as a child, how that would affect you in your mental, in your heart, right? And you have to be able to decompress after, trying to help people through their situations, trying to help someone through suicide, right? I had stayed up one night for a friend of mine. I'm gonna tell y'all this story, all right? So y'all can get to know me more also. But I think I've said it before, but I'll say it again. A friend of mine, I introduced him to the two were both single, and my friend said, "Do you know anybody that's single?" And I said, "Yeah, I know somebody that's single. Is a good guy." And she's like, well, this such person is looking for someone. I said, well, how about we just give them each other's phone numbers? If they like each other, they can date. If not, no harm, no foul. So we ended up, getting them to each other's phone numbers so they could talk privately on their own and see if it was something that might interest either one of them. Well, they ended up dating, ended up falling in love, ended up getting married. She got a phone call from an ex of hers, and he said he was fixing to ill himself. So she went to go help him because she felt bad for him. And he didn't just reach out to her, he reached out to quite a few people. He had a plan. When she came to that hotel room, she talked to him. She said, well, I got to go do something right quick. I'll be back. When she turned around, he blew her head off. Then he did it to himself. He had intention of doing that to somebody. They said he had it in his text messages and different things where he had saved a letter that he had written, that he had this planned out from the beginning. And it wouldn't have mattered if it had been her or another person. It was whoever decided to come. He had intention of doing this. Well, my friend just saw, hey, Miss Tiffany, that his wife was missing. He didn't know what happened to her at first. They didn't find her until 3 to 4 days later. He was sitting there. He was really upset. Obviously, he lost the love of his life in his eyes, and he was sitting there with a pow pow to his head. I stayed up all night with him. All night. Until 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning to make sure he was okay. And he put that down. And he chose not to do that. And it took me all night to talk him through it, right? To talk him through it and talk him into not doing it and letting him get his feelings out and ugly crying and everything else. And it was we lost touch for a little while there. It was about a year later, he called me one day and he goes, you know what? I want to thank you. If you hadn't have done that night, I wouldn't be here. I had every intention of doing it. And thank you for that, because he had finally moved on after a few years and found a new person. And now he's happy and they're married and they're got, family and all this other stuff. So sometimes we never know if our actions, even just telling somebody to have a good day. Grand Risings, DBZ Nations, and many blessings. We never know if just smiling at that person and saying good morning to the person that we met at the gas station can change their life. We never know if just a kind word of, I really like that shirt today, or your shoes are pretty, or I like your hair, or, just an act of kindness, a small act of kindness could change somebody's day. You don't know if that day they're planning on, taking themselves out and they've just had the worst week imaginable. And your one small act of kindness could absolutely brighten their day and make them see that the world ain't so evil, it ain't so bad, and that things could get brighter and better. You never know if they're extremely going through depression at that moment, and you just doing that one thing and making them smile and making them giddy for that moment showed them that there is happiness left still. Now, I will say that, Mr. Rubin, my therapist, even though we talked about some of her patients, she never disclosed any personal information, any identifying information, any names or anything like that. So even when they talk about, what's bothering them with the patient, they are not allowed to disclose any information. Because we were talking about one day how it is harder for men to be able to release feelings. She had a patient who came in. We were talking about how strong men are. No identifying information, just that his reasons for coming to therapy was to be able to release. Good morning, to Hood Table, my sister from another mister. I saw that you're going to do your Power Book today. You doing a show review on Power Book? But he didn't know, he wanted to come to therapy to be able to release emotion and so he could be a better father, right? And she said he didn't know how to start to share, to share emotion, to share his feelings, to be able to do it. That's true. Um, a lot of people. I've always said this one thing, Mr. Rubin. It's not always what you say. It's how you say it, right? Sometimes people don't mean to be mean. They just are. Using words like everything, everyone, all the time. Yeah. Also, there's people who have that victim mentality, Mr. Rubin. If you truly think about it, they think everybody's out to get them. They think that like the world itself is ready to, like, everyone hates me. Everything sucks. You know what I'm saying? Like they perpetually want to be that victim when I refuse to ever be a victim of any circumstance. And I take responsibility for my actions when I do them. Because I'm not a perfect human and I will never claim to be. Hey, Gamecock Jenny. Good morning. I actually had a friend who used to raise gamecocks. Those little fuckers are mean sometimes. They are. Sometimes them little shitters are mean. Then you can have one that's just sweet as pie, but man, some of them are just, they'll mess you up, bro. They can, and I had a friend who, now I've heard of them putting on their claws, putting like different things on them. I'm tell you something, I wouldn't be messing with them gamecocks like that. Some of them can be mean, scratch and claw your eyes out. Um, but also, I will say to anybody who is trying to go to a therapist or try to talk, um, make sure that you are 100% open and honest, because you're not going to be able to really help yourself. Y'all had one and you named him Cocky. That would have been. We had one named Rooster. Literally named it what it is, Rooster. Also, I don't understand why people can't just say what they mean and mean what they say. Like, if Mr. Rubin, if we had a problem, me and you, I'm just using us as an example. I would come straight to you and go, hey, we got a problem. You know what I'm saying? Um, I don't generalize a lot of the time when I have an issue, because then that leads up to assumptions. And people assume you're talking about them when you're not, right? But yet, if you say your words and you speak clearly and you use definites, then people know what's going on. I like to be told exactly everything, because if you don't say it about me and to me, I'm going to assume it don't fly for me. And I'm going to assume that if it don't apply, let it fly. I'm going to let it fly, because I'm not going to assume it's meant to me. The only way I'll make that assumption is if there ain't but three people in a room and you talking shit about all three of us. Well, I'm going to ask you who the hell you talking about. I want to know. Like, I don't like it when subliminals, are done. If you're talking about me, a friend of mine, or another friend of mine, say which one did it. Say it with your chest, your whole chest, not a quarter of it, not a piece of it. Say it with your chest. Okay, sorry. This is how we do it. I don't know why that song just went through my head. Don't ask. But that song gets stuck in my head more times than not for some reason. And I don't know why. Have you ever had that issue with a song just randomly getting stuck in your damn brain and you don't know why I did it? But I do believe that people should never feel ashamed for any mental condition that you may or may not have to deal with. You know what I'm saying? I just, yeah. If I got a problem, if I got a problem with anybody, I'm gonna tell you. If I don't have a problem, I don't really have a problem, and I let shit go. Like, here's the thing, I let shit go that really, truly is like stupid shit, if that makes sense. Like, unless you really do something, most of the time I just let it go. Because why am I going to hold on to something that hurts me more than it hurts you? That makes no damn sense. Why would I hurt myself? Like, I ain't going to be like Johnny Cash singing in the song, I hurt myself today. I ain't going to be doing all that over some dumb shit. Because I'm going to tell you something, this life is entirely too short. A lot of people don't know unless you've had a near death experience and how close you come to it, how short this life really is. It is extremely shorter than you think, and at the blink of a hat, at the blink of a drop of an eye, you could be gone tomorrow. Don't hold on to things that hurt you. Let that shit go. I'm just saying. There's a lot of things that I am very forgiving about, and there's some things that I'm sorry. It's gonna be up and stuck for life, and it's gonna be to the end. And fuck your ass, and fuck the horse you rode in on. I'm sorry, but that's my country coming out. Uh, there's some people that I can forgive and forget with, and there's some people it ain't never gonna happen for you. We ain't never gonna be cool. It ain't never gonna be gravy. Nah, fuck you. I don't give a damn. But a lot of like penny ante bullshit, I can let it go. You know what I'm saying? It just depends. I think with those situations, it's dependent on a lot of factors. There's some people you can forgive easier than others for the same thing. Like both people did the exact same thing, right? But it is dependent on the situation. It depends on how far in the sand the person went. It's depending on what was your closeness to the other person versus the other person. Because I'm quick to cut off somebody that is not a friend to me if I don't like you, if you've done something to me. But yeah, if we were friends at one point or I had care for you, I'm willing to more talk it out. You know what I'm saying? I'm more willing to have that conversation. But if like we're total strangers on the street, there's no reason for me to try to keep involving myself in that situation. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like, why am I talking out with somebody I don't even, you know? But I am the type of person who cares about a lot of people. Yes, I have a big heart. I don't know if it's a southern thing or not. I don't know if it's a southern thing or if it's just a me thing. Shit. Um, but when it comes to mental health awareness and everything, I think more of us need to be able to talk about it in an open manner and in a way to where, you know, we feel comfortable, right? And here's the thing, all of us, even if you think your life's okay, you still should make sure you take time for yourself. Go take a bubble bath, you know what I'm saying? Go listen to your favorite music, watch your favorite show. Still take time at the end of every day to decompress from the day, right? Sometimes you have to decompress from work. Sometimes you have to decompress from family. Sometimes you have to decompress from the internet, right? And it's also good to take those mental health breaks from things like this, because if you allow something to consume your life, and it don't matter what it is, it could be a TV show, it can be internet, it can be a lot of and it's a negative. It is negative. It is not a positive, right? And even though, and there is a such thing as toxic positivity, right? I don't know if y'all know about what toxic positivity is, right? But there is a such thing as that. Um, you got to have a balance with everything in life, right? Balance your screen time on the internet. Balance your TV time. Balance, when you know you're around someone who bothers your mental or bothers your spirit, even if you love them dearly, you have to have time away from them also, because balance is the key to everything. Just like with food, alcohol consumption, Mary Jane consumption, all of that. Everything has a balance, right? Like if you're looking at a scale, right? You want your scale to not to be too heavy on one side or too heavy on the other. You want it to be balanced most of the time. And sometimes with emotions, it's going to lean one way or the other. It's getting yourself back to that balance, back to that center, and learning how to do that for yourself, right? Whether it be turn it off, go do your favorite thing, whether it be mine's music. I love to sing. That's one of the reasons why I love my music. I love to sing. I may not be the best singer in the entire universe because there's a lot more people that I think have more beautiful voices, but it's my thing, right? Yours could be painting, the next person's could be woodwork, the next person's could be video games, the next person's could be baking, and because baking is cathartic for some people, right? Sometimes it's very relaxing for people when they bake. Some people it could be cooking a good meal and doing something nice for others. You know, don't let evil people consume you. Let them fall and do their own thing, because what I've always said, the truth always prevails, is that the truth about a person, whether they're good, bad, or indifferent, will always come to light, right? No matter if it takes somebody longer to see a situation, the truth will always come to the light. They always show their true selves. They can try to hide it for a little while, but it only works for a little while. They're gonna have what they call a fraud. If I could say the word, uh, Freudian slip. They're gonna their mask will crack, and their truth will come forward. The truth always prevails. It always comes forward. You can't keep it hidden but for so long, right? Like even a lot of these, like if you look at families, right? You look at families who have these big, huge family secrets of, like, let's use one of the TV shows for examples, right? The family that prays together, I think, or it might have been the one where the mom was actually the grandmother and his sister was his mother, right? That is a big family secret. Good morning, Watcher. Oh, Watcher Boo. Mr. Rubin, I give you permission to give him the way to get in contact with me. You know, I don't want to say stuff over the internet. You feel me? You feel me, Dow? um, but, you know, with situations and whatnot, a lot of things with, let's say, either way, Miss Watcher, either way that's best for Mr. Rubin. Yeah, Medea's Big Happy Family. Thank you. You know exactly what movie I was talking about. Miss Jenny, thank you for saving my life on that one. But you know, those family secrets and generational secrets eventually do come to light one way or the other. What's sad about those secrets is sometimes they don't come to light until after the person passes away. Right? And the, like, I'm going to tell y'all a big thing. We found out that my grandmother was not actually my grandmother, that another lady was her mother. And the two people in the situation had an affair. And my mother was raised by her father, and I guess you would say that my grandmother would be her stepmom. But we always assumed she was our grandmother, right? And we come to find out it was a whole nother thing that we didn't know about. But we didn't find out until all parties had passed away, and or one of them, the last one left, has Alzheimer's disease. So we can't find out the full story of really what went down during that time period. You know what I'm saying? But didn't find out till years later. I mean, my mom was in her freaking 50s, almost 60s, when she found this stuff out. And this happens in a lot of families. There's huge family secrets that sometimes you don't find out until, like, right after somebody passes. I was watching this comedy special, and this dude was talking to the comedian, and he did a 21andMe thing and found out and all his siblings found out that only one of the siblings was the father's real child. The other two had different daddies, and the dad has no idea. He thinks all three kids are his children. And the only reason they find out is because they did that new 21andMe or 23andMe thing, and those new DNA tests. Come to find out, they find out they were half siblings. Thought all their life they were full siblings. That mama right there was treacherous. I know who my baby daddy is, even if I don't want him. Okay? Even if I don't want him, I know who he is. Because we have our issues. Here's the thing. I may have some hurt feelings. My son's not around. I would never disparage his, sperm donor around him. I won't do that. Because he may choose in the future to have a relationship with him. And I don't want it muddied by anything that I feel. Right? My feelings are my feelings. I do not want them to be his feelings. I don't think it's okay when parents down the other parent to the child. I don't think that's okay. I don't think it's okay to fill the kid with all kind of hate for their other parent. In fact, I was the one that tried to get him not to feel hate towards his other parent. I'd be like, come on, forgive him. He's trying to do better this time. I can't make you any promises, but he said that he's going to come see you, and maybe just give him a chance, give him a chance, give him a chance. Because my son would refuse, didn't want to talk to him, didn't want to see him, didn't want to speak to him. And I'd be like, come on, you got to, he is your father regardless, you got to forgive him. You know what I'm saying? I did that thing for years, and when he became 14, 15, 16, I just stopped doing that because it was hurting my child more than it was helping him. And I said, you're old enough now, I'm going to let you choose. I'm going to stop trying to be peacemaker. Stop trying to do all this. I'm going to let you do it when you're ready. You know what I'm saying? When you're ready, I'll make sure I find him and let you have y'all's conversation. I can't tell you why he chose what he chose. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Because when he got older, he did ask me that question. And he was old enough to know the truth, right? 16, 17 years old. And I looked at him, I said, son, I can't tell you why. I don't know. I don't know what his mindset was at the time. I don't know what he was thinking or why he chose the things that he chose. You'll have to ask him those questions. But what I can tell you is that you were extremely loved, and none of this is your fault. This was an adult situation that you should have never been involved in. And if he's mad at me, he should have never took it out on you. Or if there's a hurt feelings there, it should never been your problem. You know what I'm saying? But I will say that I have loved you your entire life, and I will continue. You know what I'm saying? It's not your fault. You always have to tell kids it's not their fault because they automatically assume it's their fault. That they wasn't good enough, or they wasn't this, or they wasn't. No, it's not the kids' faults. It's the adults in the situation. Also, we have to take responsibility for our own actions in something, right? And I've taken my responsibility in that action. Yeah, we had, both me and him, hatred towards each other after we broke up. We said some things to each other that we shouldn't have said. There were many times I just wanted to be a co-parent. And maybe I was overly friendly. I'm not sure. Maybe I pushed for co-parenting too much. Maybe I was too nice. I'm not sure exactly why. Like, I don't even know why, so how can I tell anybody else why, right? But I did. I pushed for co-parenting because I think all kids deserve that. All the kids deserve for the two parents to get along. You don't have to be best friends. You know what I'm saying? The only thing I ever asked of him was, he had a bunch of girlfriends at first, was don't bring random women around him because I don't bring random men around him, right? Unless you know for sure it's a person you're going to be with. Now, if you know it's a person you're going to be with for a while, that's different. But if it's just a passing fling or a passing girlfriend, don't introduce them because kids get attached easy. It was the same thing that I done. I didn't. Anybody that I talked to, my son didn't even know I talked to him. He never knew I had any boyfriends or talked to anybody or was trying to date somebody. He didn't know about it because I didn't let him meet them. Because I don't. You don't want kids to get super attached. Kids get super attached real easy. They truly do. Kids don't understand adult situations though. Just like I've said on this internet, if you're beefing with somebody, I don't care who it is, kids should always be off limits. Innocent children should never be involved in grown up situations. If you're reading a person for filth, read them for filth. But don't bring the kids into it. Don't bother the kids. Stop playing these CPS games. Stop playing these terrible games. Because what happens if you're not hurting the adult as much as you think you are? You're hurting the kid. There was this other person. I forgot where I was at, but they told me about it. And they said that they had this problem and that um, they had like somebody swatted them. I've never been swatted or nothing like that. Our sheriff's department doesn't work that way. But they said they swat. Oh no, and yeah. Who was? I can't tell y'all whose name it was, but there's a person on here, and they said when they swatted them, they all came in with guns blazing, and they pointed a gun at her like 4-year-old child. Like I mean, the kid was like 3, 4 or 5, 6 years old, something like that. Kid was very young. You know what I mean? And that she said that her kid had freaking PTSD from that shit and stuff. Like had problems from that stuff. So be careful what you do to adults when they have children in the home because it can scar and hurt the kids. I don't think anything on the internet should ever be taken real life. That's just me. Unless you have to do what you have to do to get a protective order or like you have to protect your family. You know what I'm saying? That's different. But to absolutely, take it offline, that's the only way I believe you should ever have to do that. Is if you're having to do what you have to do to protect yourself or your family. But as far as in like just doing it to be doing it, no. I would never call somebody's home their aunt, their uncle, their mama, their daddy, their cousin, because it ain't got shit to do with them. It's between me and that person. You know what I'm saying? Why involve innocent people in some bullshit that ain't got nothing to do with them? It ain't cool. But I will say that the dog is bothering. But wellness is always a good thing to take care of your mental health, yourself. Does anybody got any plans for later this afternoon? Y'all gonna be doing anything chilling? Uh, whatever might be a thing. Cause me myself and it's a rainy day. It's an ugly day. I'm just gonna be chilling at home. Um, that's pretty much all you can do when it's storming and shit. Did y'all get those storms the other day, Watcher? Over there? We getting them today. And we got some yesterday and last night. Y'all, I just lost my phone. Oh, I found my phone. Why am I always losing the damn thing? I'm always losing my phone. I can have it right in my hand 1 second, and the very next second, I lose it. Now, how do you lose something as big as a phone? Like the phones ain't as little as they used to be, but I be losing it still. I don't know how I lose it all the damn time, but I do. Sitting here knocking some of these notifications off. Sometimes I get way too many notifications when I wake up in the morning and I forget to knock all that stuff off. Because y'all got to think, I'm subscribed to how many people on YouTube? Shoot. I get all those notifications, get all the notifications from Discord, from email, from, well, sometimes I don't get my notification from email. I have to go in there and check it myself. Um, oh, wait a minute. Somebody struck Mr. Redzilla's channel? Wait, let me look up. Let me make sure Mr. Redzilla's channel's still good. If I spelled it correctly, child, I can't. Redzilla. And I think it's with two D's, if I'm not mistaken. I know that I did not just. Hold on, let me go and see if I can make sure because I don't want to report on nothing that's not true. Um, Let me make sure it's straight. Let me check. Okay, it's still there. Okay. Okay. I was just making sure, child. I almost had a heart attack. I thought his channel was gone. I was about to say, no! Okay. I also have to catch the replay for Mr. Rat Trap City. He did a live last night talking about Diddy. Here's my question for y'all. Do y'all think Diddy did it or didn't do it? Pretty much, Mr. Buster. I was just making sure. I saw a post from Mr. Parasite Slayer that said that he had done a pre-warning. What happens next? I give fair warning of the consequences of striking Redzilla. They don't care about you. It's quite obvious. I mean, he's sitting there trying to say somebody struck Redzilla again. I will say this, Mr. Redzilla, you can fight all of those if they try. Just giving a fair, you can try. Hey, Miss Rhonda, how you doing this morning? But I thought Mr. Redzilla's channel was going at first. I was like, oh my god. I like Mr. Parasite Slayer and Mr. Redzilla are good people, in my opinion. People can think what they want. I really like both of them. I think they have a good hearts. And maybe that's just me, but I believe they have great, amazing hearts. Um, and they look out for people who, have been through it, whatnot. How you doing this morning, Mr. Buster and Miss Rhonda? How's everybody doing? Is everybody having an okay day so far? I hope that. How's y'all's weather? It's rainy over here. We're gonna have a pretty much a rainy, just ugly day. Nothing bad. I don't think. Let me check. Because down south Mississippi, if you know anybody down south Mississippi, they had some pretty good strong thunderstorms last night down there. Um, but up here, up north, y'all, we ain't have no too much of an issue. Y'all gonna have sunny, beautiful days today wherever you're out in this world, or you gonna have some rainy, ugly days like we having? Cause it's supposed to storm here and just be rainy and ugly, and it's all cloudy and shit out there even right now. Um, it's gonna be stormy, like just little thunderstorms though, nothing serious. Right now, anyway. I don't think the weather is conducive. And also, if anybody knows how Baby Shark is doing, or anybody sees Baby Shark, let Baby Shark know I've been worried about him. I know they took time off from the internet because some things was happening. Now, I will say, if they're using your content without permission, then do what you got to do. Um, but I understand that. I don't like to mess with channels either. I don't like to strike other people's channels, and I know that there was some people trying to run around at one time and try to say that I did. I do not do that. I don't like bothering up other people's channels. Um, but to each their own. Me, myself, and I don't like doing that. Um, I don't like uh, playing strike wars. I don't like doing that. People have tried to do that to me, and most of it's just age restricted when they try that. They tried to get a couple of my stuff taken down, but it didn't take it down. It just pretty much age restricted it. Um, that was all because it was unfounded. Obviously, it was a false striking. I don't believe in false striking at all for no amount of reason. But yeah, I don't like bothering people's channels. That's just like I don't go over to. I will say this: I don't go over to somebody's chat if I don't feel welcomed. I don't go over there and bother people. I don't go to their comment section and leave, crazy comments and all this other stuff. I just don't do those things myself. They've done it to me, just leaving crazy comments off the wall, coming over to my. I don't even watch their shit. If I don't like you a lot, the only way that I'm gonna watch you whatsoever is if somebody else comes and tells me that I need to see this because something was said about me, and I might need to combat it. But other than that, I ain't watching. I don't care. I do understand that, Mr. Buster. I do understand that. Yeah, I don't believe in doing those things to other people. Me, myself, and I. You know, that's just like I don't believe in taking it real life, unless you absolutely have to do something to protect you and your family. I really don't like going to the popo if I can help it. I don't like, I don't like, I myself don't like messing with anybody's children and would never do so. I don't believe involving children in grown up situations is cool. Now, I can't tell other people what to do, but I have been sent a lot of information about a lot of different folks, right? But I sit on that shit. No, I'm still waiting on the report, Trizzle, um, to see who actually did it. Um, but, I mean, it's kind of like you get you get somebody saying it on somebody's platform and threatening you with it, and then it happens. So it's kind of like, do, do, do. But at the same time, still waiting on that information. Sometimes that takes a little time to get to you. Um, you know, you have to wait on that information. I will say the case was closed. The nice lady who came over, she was very sweet, very kind. I explained the situation to her, and explained it so if they tried that again, that she knows now what the situation is. I talked to the local people around here, so if they try anything, they know what's going on. So that, falsities can't be done to you. What I find really messed up about those situations is that you have people cheering that on who've had stuff like that happen to them, and I'm like, that's not cool. Why would you do that? So sometimes with certain people, they have to, they think that's the way to go, but you're not hurting anybody but the innocent child. Why would you want to hurt a kid? You know what I'm saying? Um, of course it was unfounded. I mean, here's the thing. My child has cerebral palsy. Do you know how many doctors he sees? Do you know what I'm saying? If it was in any way founded, I would have been reported years ago. You know what I'm saying? Years ago. Um, but you have to deal with those situations when they come up. Um, had to sign paperwork and talk to the people, and they had to do wellness and check things and take pictures and do all this stuff. But obviously, nothing was founded because nothing was wrong. Yeah, I mean, that is true, Miss Rhonda. What if there was actually a child that took time away from that really needed protection? That really was being done dirty, that the parents were doing bad things or just awful to the kid. You know what I'm saying? Kids that are really truly abused. What if that took time away from them and possibly could have saved a child's life? You know what I'm saying? But I did, when I talked to the lady, I told her, I said, I understand why you have to do what you have to do. And I actually do like the fact of how our system works, because what if, you know what I'm saying, it was a bad situation? What if she did her due diligence and she was an amazing worker? She did what she was supposed to do by the letter of the law. She made sure, she did her reporting and all that stuff, which, I told her, I said, I'm not upset with you whatsoever, because you're just doing your job and you need to check to make sure kids are okay. So that lets me know that our system works well to make sure children are really okay. You know what I'm saying? And that kids don't slip through the cracks. Because there are a lot of kids who do slip through the cracks. There are a lot of abusive parents out there. So, I can't speak for every single, um, you know, child protective services in the entire United States of America. I can only speak about the one I have here, that I have knowledge of. Ours absolutely does what is best for the children. You know what I'm saying? Um, and make sure that everything's on point. So I just want to say that thank you to my local and my state agency for being amazing, doing your follow through, doing your paperwork, make sure everything was good. Thank you for being very respectful. Thank you for, doing your job. If I will tell you this, if in case a person gets a child taken from the home right away, there usually is something founded. Um, Also, if someone does like false reports over and over and over again, um, I myself wouldn't handle it. They would. They'll tell you that if someone false reports on you multiple times after they've closed a case, that they will prosecute the person to the full extent of the law. So let's say, Trizzle, let's say somebody has called on you 3 times and said the same thing. After the first time that the case was closed and was unfounded, and they report again and again and again, then you don't handle it. They do. The state takes up a case against that person for false reports. Because I asked that situation. That's how that situation is handled. You yourself do not take up uh, those legal matters. They do. Hey, Miss Catherine. Good morning. Yes, that is true, Mr. Buster. That I just happen to have a really good system, and they obviously know with all the doctors that my son sees and all the stuff that he has been through his life, that if that had been a quarter of the way founded, I would have done been reported on, because mandated reporters, right? Every one of his therapists, every one of his doctors, every one of his specialists, every one of his, things that he had to go through. He was in pre-K before I removed him from pre-K. Would have reported him, because they were all mandatory reporters, right? So that wouldn't have. He went to so many different doctors and specialists and things when he was old. He even went to this one special clinic. I don't know if y'all know this, but a child that is born extremely early, or a micropreemie, they have to take special shots that normal kids don't take, for whooping cough and stuff. And so he had to go to an infusion clinic for that, for those shots, because he had to take those. It was 2 shots every 2 months, all the way up until he was 2 years old or something like that. And it's to make sure the child doesn't get whooping cough, because that can be very dangerous for a micropreemie. And he even had a little thing when he was little, looked like a stop sign. They gave me. It says, "Please wash your hands before touching mine." And I used to have it on his child carrier when I would take him places, because I didn't want people just reaching out and touching him because he was more susceptible to germs than other kids, right? So I always had that, and then they gave me little stickers to stick on the front door of my house and stuff for that. That said, "Please wash your hands before touching mine, and do not come in if you're sick." Yeah, and that would be a thing too, Miss Rhonda, is for people who are wasting valuable resources that could be used with actual people who really need it. I would hope that they would face some repercussions, because there are so many kids out there that actually do need those resources. And what's sad is when you see someone who has claimed to unjustly have lost a child then make a report on another person and laugh about it or think it's okay. I'm like, but didn't that happen to you? Why would you do that to somebody else? It makes no sense. Um, I have seen some crazy stuff go down in that area of life. In another state, I'm not going to say the state name, obviously, because I do not want to expose this person. But in another state, I know of someone who lost a child because they themselves, they pretty much have a form of autism, but it does not affect their ability to pay their own bills, cook, clean, do all those things, right? And both of the parents were, had different mental faculty problems, right? But they were great parents, good to the kid. Um, they took the child because of both parents' mental faculty problems, which I don't think was okay because they were very good to the kids. The children were not, um, were not abused in any way, shape, or form, were very well taken care of. But because they didn't find them competent enough, they took the child, which, in my opinion, it's like two people with Down syndrome having a child. As long as they're great parents to the kid, the child is not abused, the child has everything the child could possibly want or need, I don't think that's okay, because I can understand if there was abuse in any way, shape, or form, but I've seen that happen to people with special needs, and it's really sad. Just like if somebody has cerebral palsy, like a mild version of it, or a moderate where their arms don't work as well, but they may be in a wheelchair. I've seen that happen, and I'm like, but the child is well taken care of. It's really sad. Hey, Hotspot Love. I don't think it's okay to do stuff like that, because here's the thing. How many true crime stories have we watched and seen where the child, while they were in custody or in a foster care system or in a home, were done really bad, either essayed or unalived? How many of these stories do we have to hear before people? Now, if you know for a fact, I will say this, that someone is absolutely doing something terrible to a child, you should report it. You should. But if you don't know and you don't have actual proof, and it's just you're doing something to be mean to someone else, don't do that stuff, because you don't know what could happen to that child. Right? The Naziah Harris case, exactly. Look at Madeline Shoto's mom should have been called on. Look how they mishandled Naziah. Naziah should have been taken. They had her around a known PDO. That's different, right? But then you have these cases. There's another case. I have to look it back up. But the child was special needs. And the parents took the child out of school and whatnot. Or it was the grandmother. And the aunt, the mother lost, no, it was the mother. She lost custody of the child, and the aunt took it in. And the aunt had the child doing great. The child was thriving, doing so well. And the mother was a drug addict, an actual drug addict. And they re put that child back with that mom. And not even 6 months later, that child was unalived. And if they had left that child in the care of the aunt, the child would still be here. We see this countless times. We've seen kids go, like, do y'all remember that one where all those, this happened in Pontotoc, Mississippi, if you look it up. Do you remember the story of the kids that the people kept in the shed in, and they kept them in baby beds, no matter their age, and locked them up in cages and all this different shit? That was a foster parent. Those kids were taken by the state. That was a foster parent. Every one of those kids have since been adopted, but the mother and the foster mother and foster father were abusing these children. I don't know. Have you ever seen that one? Let me see if I can look that one up. Because actually, the sheriff in Pontotoc County absolutely, at the time, absolutely did. No, it was Prentice County. It might have been Prentice County. Anyway, he ended up adopting one of the kids. Let me see if I can find that case. It did make national news. Let me see if I can find it. Where is it out? There was. Let me find that. I can't remember if it was Pontotoc or Prentice County, so I'm trying to find it so I can show y'all. Cause I think this is it right there. Let's see. Let me see if this is it right here. No, that's not it. It specifically happened. That's not it. That's not the story. Can't remember if it was Pontotoc County or Prentice County. There was like 7, 8 kids, something like that, and the daughter is the only reason they found out about it. And she reported the mother, and one of the kids got real sick because she shook the baby, the daughter, their only actual child, and when they took the baby to the hospital, they lied about situations, and then that's how they found out about it. Yeah, see, Miss Rhonda, my child's not. He has mild. So he's able to do things on his own. But I'll tell you this, my brother had a severe disability, and my brother had specialists. And you're right, they will sometimes send a nurse come out to check monthly to check their their health and all that other stuff. My brother was like a baby his entire life. He wasn't supposed to live past a year, past 6 months, past 2 years, 3 years. They kept saying he wasn't going to live, right? He was almost 18 years old. In fact, when he passed away at home, the coroner said that he was the most well taken care of child with that many disorders that he has ever seen in his life. Didn't have a bed sore one, didn't have previous bed sores. He's never seen a child with that many disorders that well taken care of in his life. And so, he said, they weren't going to put his body through any more than it had already been through his lifetime. But he said he had never seen a child so well taken care of that had that many health conditions. Because with a child in that kind of severe disability, we had him a sheepskin thing that he would lay on so he wouldn't get pressure points. Obviously, we would change him a lot around a lot because he was bedbound 100%. So when we would get him up and put him in his car seat to be able to sit and watch TV, we would make sure that he was not on one side for too long or putting too much pressure on one hip bone or the other. You had to change him around in his bed quite often. Just to make sure, like, you have to be, with a person that's bedbound 100%, you have to be way more vigilant on that because if they get a pressure sore, it could turn to a bed sore, which can be deadly. And so we had to be 20 times more vis- vigilant than other people. He had a lot of health conditions that he should not have made it as long as he did, but he did because of the love, care, and attention that he got. Um, he had the doctors kept, saying he wasn't going to live, but he was almost 18 when he passed. And I miss my brother every day. He had the most beautiful smile, beautiful laugh. But my mom actually, my brother was on tube feeding formula forever because they were afraid to give him, solid foods. Well, my mom got to where she worked with him and did therapy with him to where he could eat solid foods. He was having problems because of the medication they had him on. It was causing his kidneys to fail. So my mom figured out which medication was causing. Guess what? He started not having to get, we didn't have to use, what is that called? The thing you stick in someone to make them pee. He stopped having to use that, and his kidneys went to working properly, and all this other stuff. And there's a lot of advocacy that also goes into having someone who is nonverbal and can't speak for themselves. There's a lot of things that you have to keep an eye out on, and you have to be super protective of them, you know. Um, but my brother was very well taken care of. He really, with the health conditions that he had, he really should not have lived. But I think it was love, care, and attention that kept him alive, to tell you the truth. And I'll say this, Miss Rhonda, you're an amazing person. You know what I'm saying? And that's what another thing. The reason I had so much trouble in pre-K for my son is I actually asked for a helper. I don't know if y'all know this, but anybody out there with a disabled child or a child with a disability, you can go to the local school systems and you can put in an IEP. You can ask for a helper for your child, and the state will pay for it. Now, you have to provide the information, whether your child has cerebral palsy or whatever the condition is, from their doctors, their specialists, their therapist, right? To prove that they need that helper. I did all that, then they claimed they didn't know my son had it. I'm like, they didn't do their due diligence. Technically, yes, I could have contacted the disability services and got them in trouble, but I didn't want to do that for the simple fact there are other kids that go to that school. My child's not the only one. You know what I'm saying? Didn't want to hurt the school system because of a lot of kids depend on that school. You know? I could have very well sued them. I chose not to. I didn't want to do that to the school system. I didn't want to do that to the kids who are innocent, because when you do that, you take away resources from the other children, right? I didn't want to do that to the other kids. It wouldn't have been fair and whatnot. Now, I could have, but I chose not to because there are other kids in that school system that need that, and taking money away from the school takes money away from those kids and their education. So I just bowed out gracefully. You know what I'm saying? And I took care of my responsibility and did what I was supposed to do. I was not going to hurt the other kids because of, some stuff that went down. And I just truly didn't want to do that. Now, I will say one of the janitors got fired because they were changing children in the bathroom when they shouldn't have been. Yeah, they sent the janitor, a female janitor, in there with kids to change their clothes. That person got fired. But I would never do anything to hurt the school system, hurt the other kids. It's not their fault. I may have created some change. Yes, ma'am. My son will be able to work a job. The only thing that would hold him back, Miss Rhonda, would be physical, like doing too much physical work. So I want him to technically do something with his brain. Will he ever be able to lift 100 or 1,000, like 100 or 200 pounds? I'm not sure about that, right? Because his is mostly in his legs. He has a slight limp on one side from his cerebral palsy. That's the only way you can tell him he has it. He does have a little bit of problem with like I have to make sure he doesn't fall and stuff like that, because he has like balance issues sometimes with uneven ground, because of his cerebral palsy, right? But as far as in being able to do things, yes, Miss Rhonda, he will be able to work a regular job if he so chooses to. Most of That's why I've always said that I'm getting him ready. I'm getting him ready to go to college so that he can get something that is more mental and to be able to do things from a desk job versus a physical job. Because most of his disability is a physical problem. His cerebral palsy is mild. He doesn't have it severely, and it does not affect his mental faculties. None of that stuff. So when it comes to intelligence, he's extremely highly intelligent. A little socially awkward, which most kids are. Um, you know. I will say, Miss Rhonda, remember to always look up the Disability Act. I want to tell this to other parents. Look up the Disability Act. Okay, if you're going to the school system and they're trying to force your child into special education, but you know that your child can mentally handle regular class, but they're trying to push it off because they don't want to spend the time, advocate for your child. Do not allow that to happen. Now, if your child does need special education or needs extra things, also look around in your school systems. Some of them have like actual in-homes teachers that will come to your house to teach your child. Look into that. Look into special programs for people with special needs. They have workshops in some areas for children or teenagers, adults with special needs, to help them to be able to get job placement. They have that. They're workshops, and they help people with special needs to be able to get jobs and different things. So there's a lot of resources that sometimes people don't know about. If there's a resource you don't know, you can call your local Mississippi, like Mississippi Department of Human Services, or let's say Michigan, or your state. You can call your local Department of Human Services and stuff like that, and you can ask them for resources. They know about these things where we may not sometimes about the resources that are in your area, right? You can go to your government website. Every state has a government website, like ms.gov. That's ours, right? A lot of them have the education system. They have each area usually has a Mississippi Department of Education. You can go there. You can find resources. Google is your best friend, but sometimes they're not going to show local resources. That's why I say to contact a government agency that is associated with the resource that you might need. There are federal resources also. If you know someone with cerebral palsy, one of the best resources I can tell you about is called cerebralpalsy.org. It is literally for people with cerebral palsy, different conditions. They also have, like, there's a website, and if I can find it, Miss Rhonda, I'm going to post it. It is where you can get computers for people who are nonverbal. You can get, different things to help the child to be able to use technology where, things like that. So They have like where you can get all different kind of medical equipment that insurance may not pay for, right? If I find that website again, I'm gonna share it because it's amazing. I looked into that resource when my son was little, but because his disability isn't as severe, he didn't necessarily need that, right? Yeah, see, that's another thing. It's good that she's at home. Um, that that's the best place for her, Miss Rhonda, because being with kids in school, she would be exposed to so many germs and would be sick so much that there's a possibility she could get a germ that could make her pass away. And so you're doing what's best for your child, and that's what I told the lady. I said, I'm not doing what's best for you or anybody else. I will always do what is best for my child till the very end. They have when Miss Wanda, if I could find that website again, they have a website that there's programs that will absolutely help you pay for that iPad. I found a website years ago because this was when my son was real little, and I didn't know what all he would face as he got older. So I was looking up all different kind of resources and different things. Let me see if I can find it because I think it's on the cerebral palsy website, but it goes for other things too. Um, and let me see if I can go to cerebral palsy dot. I think there's this dot org or something. But there is a, I think it's on in there. So I'm gonna look up the actual website right quick. Um, and let me see if I can find that they had it on this website at one time to where you could get those equipments depending on what the situation was. I'm gonna try to find that website again because there's different technologies now, and so I'm trying to find it. Let me see if I can find it because I think it would be awesome for you to be able to get in touch with if I could find it because it was an awesome website when I found it, and they do. Let's see if I can find that. I'm trying to find that website again because it was actually really cool. Really cool, really cool website that I found that helps people with different um, disabilities and stuff, and they actually have like let's see if I can find it. I'm trying to find that information again because somebody sent it to me. I think I actually reached out to United Cerebral Palsy and they came back with an email with it. But I'm gonna try to find that again. There are programs. Um, the iPads are very expensive, but I have heard that there are a lot of programs that will pay for them. Um, with technology and all that other stuff. Um, I'm trying to see if I can find that because that was one of the best. Let's see. I used to share it out to everybody when my son was little. I've done, they have the Educational Technology and Media Materials Program supports accessible technology. UCP Bellows Fund provides funds to individuals with disabilities for assistive technology equipment. Um, See, UnitedCerebralPalsy.org is not. Um, it's not just for um, there's a bunch of different societies. UCP Bellows Fund, a national program operated by UCP that provides funds to individuals with disabilities for assistive technology equipment. Individuals are recommended by UCP affiliates. UCP affiliates submit an application on behalf of an individual to the UCP national office. Applications are reviewed for funding by Bellows Committee. Then they have the National Dissemination Center of Children with Disabilities. The NICHY's website offers information to help identify and connect with the disability groups in your area, addressing the disability or disabilities which you are concerned. Um, they have cerebralpalsy.org, RESNA, Rehabilitation Engineering and Assistive Technology Society of North America. Uh, ATPAP is information of your state program. U.S. Department, like there's so many like federal and state programs that you should really look into. I'm going to copy this so you can. This right here is a guide for assistive technology, and I'm actually going to paste this guide right here. It shows you a bunch of the resources. Like if you scroll through the here, it'll tell you like a bunch of the websites, the different things, you know, federal and state programs that you could call or talk to try to get that information. But I want to be able to find that there was a really good, you know, and I will say look in your specific state because different ones have different things. Um, but there's different ways that you can, get that from local grants and different things, and depending on what her disability is. Thank you, Mr. Buster. What her disability is, there's a lot of different things in assisted technology nowadays that you could possibly get for your child through different fundings. There's a bunch of different ways. I would say that UCP, even though she may not have cerebral palsy, right? This website right here can help get you connected to other websites. The United Cerebral Palsy um, website actually has a lot of different like information on it for people who may not have CP, but there may be other information that you need for assisted, you know, different things. Also, if you reach out to them, they will email you back with maybe some information you might need. I will tell you that they are very, very, very kind people. I reached out to them when my son was first diagnosed. I got more information, different links to different things. I'm pretty sure if you reach out to UCP, that if you email them or whatnot, or fill out the form on their website, they will email you back, and you can ask them about, different kinds of ways to get funding for that. There also are grants from the Department of Education to help, kids with disabilities. There are grants for disabled children in the United States. They will financially help you with education and assistance You know, so there's a lot of grants out there that people don't know about. If you look in your state and on your state website and do a little research, there are grants out there that you can get to help with these things. So I just want you to be, fully educated and know. So Miss Rhonda, I would say this: if you're really wanting to look into one of those iPads, I would suggest looking up grants. You don't have to pay back a grant. I would suggest looking into your local areas. I don't, obviously, I'm not going to ask you, I don't want you to say on here what state you're from and all those other things or where you're at exactly. I don't want that because obvious, people watch and try to do things to people. And it's sad, that happens. But do a little research on Google. There's a possibility that there is a grant in your area. There's a possibility that it can be completely paid for your child. And she could learn how to use that technology to be able to speak for the first time. And I know, as a person who had a nonverbal person in their life, that you would cry your eyes out if she was able to do that. And I know that if she touched that button and said, "Hi, Mom," that you would just bawl. You know what I'm saying? I would look into that. Um, I know that even if it was through a computer program, if she was able to talk to you the first time, I know that you would be on, like, bawling like a little baby. I know how it is. I've had a nonverbal person in my life. Now my son is verbal, but I have had that. So from that perspective, I could see where that would be very important. But yes, they have a lot of resources that a lot of parents just don't know about. You could go to your Department of Education, whatever state you're in, and sometimes they know the resources for people with different disabilities, depending on what her main diagnosis is. If it's whether it be CP, autism, you know um, all those other things, you can absolutely go to their specific websites. And there's absolutely there is Disability Act. I want to show y'all something too. This is the ADA government website, which is the Department of Justice and Civil Rights. If you ever had to use this, you need to know what the Disability Act is, right? Examples of disabilities: there's a wide variety of disabilities, and the ADA regulations do not list all of them. Some disabilities are visible and some are not. Some examples of disability include cancer, diabetes, post-traumatic stress, HIV, autism, cerebral palsy, deafness or hearing loss, blindness or low vision, epilepsy, mobility disabilities such as those requiring the use of a wheelchair, walker, or cane, intellectual disabilities, or major depressive disorder, and traumatic brain injury. The ADA, and y'all need to know, if you have anybody in your life that has this, the Disability Act and how to advocate for someone with a disability. Um, there are rights and laws that a person with disability has, right? Um, so that is, the ADA. There's also things that you can look up for resources. uh, they have the ADA projects, people with disabilities. The ADA prohibits disability discrimination in many areas of life, employment, state and local government services for people with disability. It has information on it about other disability rights and laws and different things that you may or may not need to know to advocate. Um, I have said many times that I am a staunch cerebral palsy advocate. Because I've had two people in my life who had it. Um, you know, my brother had a severe form, my son had a mild form. So, cerebral palsy is something that's near and dear to my heart. Um, and that's why you'll also never hear me say that R word. because I refuse to say that against anybody with a disability. It is, it is it's a negative connotation, and they don't deserve that. Even if I may not like somebody's actions, I will never, you know, sit there and make fun of them for a disability that they can't help. They didn't ask for that disability. You know what I'm saying? Even if I don't like a person's actions who has a disability, I cannot like their actions, but I'd never make fun of their disability itself. That's not something you do. And a lot of times, yes, I do treat people with disabilities with kid gloves. And there is a reason why. I don't know why, but in my heart, I feel like I must protect people with disabilities. I don't know why. But that's just my heart. You know what I'm saying? When I know someone's not mentally aware or has a mental disability, I do try to protect them because I got a big heart. That is true, Miss Rhonda. If you so much as were doing anything wrong, as many medical professionals that see your baby, there, a lot of people don't know, all the people that see your baby and come in monthly, they're all mandated reporters. And they can write up reports vice versa, showing that you're an amazing parent, right? Showing that you do right by your child. You know what I'm saying? So if somebody did try to mess with your baby, you have plenty enough proof that your baby is very well taken care of. Because every single one of those medical professionals and every one of those nurses that come out and everything that that baby has to, the therapist, the this, that, the next thing, you would have done got reported on because they're all mandated. Hey, Happy. You know what I'm saying, Miss Rhonda? Like, they're all a mandated reporter, so you know what I mean? They can write the letters saying that you're an amazing ass mom. Yeah, true. The BS should stop. You know what I'm saying? Hey, my twisted, I've been missing you and just saying that I love you. And I've been missing your beautiful face and your huggies and all that good stuff. We loves you, Twisted. And you already know then. You know that they can also write that letter that says backwards. It says, this person is an amazing parent. And do you know that's what I got? Hey, my honey. When my son was in the hospital with his eye surgery when he was 3 months old, on the piece of paper that they wrote, they said, very attentive mother, pays attention to child's needs. The nurses didn't even really have to come in too much for my son because I took so damn good care of him. You know what I'm saying? They just came in and did their little charting, but they said I got up every 5 seconds with him because he was having like oxygen problems a little bit after surgery. And by the time the nurses come in there, I was already doing the due diligence and taking care of him and already up and doing everything. They were like, well, you already own it. We ain't even got to do nothing. The nurses loved me when I was in there. But yeah, they literally put on his discharge paperwork. Very attentive mother, takes care of patient needs extremely well. Um, had they said something about had to not do nothing or something. Patient, very awake and oriented. Mother extremely attentive and all this other stuff. It was cutesy. I was like, oh, look at them giving me all kind of compliments in the medical paperwork. It made me feel good when the nurses and the doctors, you know, paid attention to how well my child was taken care of, and just to write it down, and it just sounded so sweet to me. It wasn't like they were kissing my butt or nothing like that. It was just how, like, even in medical terminology, it sounded sweet. um, I was like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Because I've always done that with my kid. Like, when you have, and Miss Rhonda knows this, and anybody who has a person in your life with special needs, um, you have to be twice as vigilant. You have to be twice as taken care of. There is so much more that goes into it than people know. Like, I had to do stretches with my son every day. And I'm going to tell you something. That is the hurtfulest thing as a parent, that you have to do these stretches that hurts the child, but it's to help the child, but it hurts. It's painful, right? And like your kid wants a day off, but they can't take one. They don't want to do the stretches because they're not fun and they hurt, but you still have to do them. That kind of sucks. You know what I'm saying? I know, right, Miss Wanda? They always are like, they're super thankful when you're like a really attentive parent. The nurse is really, the only thing the nurse has to do in there, because like, even when my son had surgery, I did the intake and outtake. You know what I'm talking about when your child has to, because after they have surgery, they can't get up out of bed. So they do a catheter and you have to do the intake and outtake, input and output. Wrote down every time the blood pressure cuff would go off, wrote down what his blood pressure was, his pulse rate, and all that other stuff. The only thing they had to do, come in and do, because I didn't have one in the room, was come take his temperature. If they'd have left one in the room, I would have took his temperature, but they didn't leave it in the room, right? So when they came in, I told them his input, his output, what his blood pressure was staying at, how his pulse rate was, all that good stuff. And they go, well, I don't even have to do nothing. You've already charted everything for me. The nurses absolutely adored me while I was in there with him. But you know what I'm talking about, the intake and outtake and all that other stuff? Yeah, the range of motion. Oh my God, I hate having to do those, Miss Rhonda. I hate having to do those stretches. They suck. They absolutely do suck. And it really sucks to have to do that. You're helping your child, but it's painful to do those. It's not fun. Like, those suck. Um, Absolutely. But you have to do what's best for the child. And like when he was in the hospital after his surgery, yeah, the nurses absolutely adored me because I did his intake, his outtake, you know what I'm talking about, where you have to say how much liquid they've had, how much they've output. You have to look at the little bag and put the milliliters and whatnot, and you have to, with him, because he can drink fluid, I would have to write down the amount of fluid ounces that he drank and then how much output he had. And versus where your child is tube fed, you know exactly how much tube formula you're giving. I had to do measurements based on what he was intaking and outtaking as in food and whatnot. And yeah, I had to do all that stuff. Then I had to pick him up and put him on the potty chair. And I'm going to tell you something. My son weighed 99 pounds at the time. And he was already like already 5 foot something. Um, Even though he was only 10 years old, he was already big, tall, not fat or anything, just tall and big. And he had to wear leg stabilizers, which are pure metal, and two cast, one on each foot, from the about where the shin bone is all the way down. And I'm going to tell you something, that adds an extra weight. So I was picking up on about 120, 130 pounds every time, and I hurt myself. But I wouldn't take it back for this world. I wouldn't take back doing that for him because now he can walk like everybody else. You know what I'm saying? He just has a slight limp. So I wouldn't take back doing that for nothing in this world. It really is, Miss Rhonda. It really is. And when you have to deal with a special needs child that is bedbound, it's a lot more involved than people know. Uh, my mom had we had 15 chucks. And y'all know what I'm talking about with chucks if you've ever had to do inbound bedbound patients. And we had sheepskin things that we'd put underneath him in his baby bed. And of course, we had his regular sheets and all this other stuff. And my mom used to keep drawers. Like my room, my brother's room was always kept sterile. When I mean sterile. We also kept a sheet over the doorway so that dust and debris could not get into his room. His room was completely sterile. He could not handle germs like other people, right? So he had a dresser, and in that dresser, he had one dresser for his clothes, but then this one dresser, it was where his sheets was in one drawer, his sheepskins was in another, his chucks was in one drawer, nice and neat. And he had his, his products and all those things that we used for him, um, you know, all nice and neat in drawers and stuff. Um, and so when my mom sometimes when she would change my brother, she'd go, "Babe, go get me this," and I knew exactly which drawer it was in. Like even from the time I was little, because my mom kept it completely organized. When you have a child that is completely bedbound and or disabled, you have things put in specific areas so it's easy to get to. Um, everything has to be organized. Everything has to be done a specific way. Like when we washed my brother's bottles, because he drank out of a bottle his entire life. Um, he couldn't do cups or sippy cups. Uh, we had specific bottles for juice, specific bottles for tea, specific bottles for milk. And we had to sterilize his bottles all the time. And so before I even had a kid, I knew how to sterilize nipples. hmm Before I ever had a kid, because I had a special needs brother, right? Um, my brother got off the tube formula, believe it or not, Miss Rhonda. It took my mom a long time, but she got him off the tube feeding formula, and you're not gonna believe what helped him to be able to digest food. Goat's milk. Goat's milk. That's what she first started him on. Then she slowly started introducing solids. First, it was like mashed potatoes, applesauce, things that could be smashed up really easy. Then my brother's favorite meal out to eat was the chili cheese coney from Sonic with chili cheese tater tots, and my mom would mash them up and cut up his hot dogs in little teeny tiny bites, and he was able to eat that. That was one of his favorite meals, and she always kept him the pudding packs. She'd keep a big box of those pudding packs, and he would get one or two of those after meals, and so she would keep a huge thing of those. And us kids knew better than to touch them because they were for him because he was special needs, right? He couldn't go eat the desserts that we could eat. You know what I'm saying? So she kept him his own special things. She would keep Jello, different flavors of Jello. She would buy the big boxes for him. My brother was very well taken care of, but he also had a condition to where he didn't know when he was full. Like he would be fuller than full, and he would still cry and want more food, but you had to cut him off or he would get sick. And then that what you just fed him basically would come back up and it wouldn't do no good, right? So you had to. You didn't have a choice no matter how much he cried, no matter how angry he got. You know what I'm saying? You had to, because he wouldn't know and he wouldn't stop eating. And it could be very dangerous for a kid with that condition. So you have to know what they can intake and what they can't, right? You have to know how much is too much. We got so many dirty looks at restaurants when my brother would cry for more, and they wouldn't understand. Um, they wouldn't understand that I had to stop him, that we had to stop him from eating more, or he would get sick, because he would continuously cry. And of course, I don't know how many times my dad would have to pick up my brother's car seat and walk out of the restaurant to calm him down. And my brother loved music, so my dad would take him to the car and turn on like his favorite song and start singing to him to calm him down. Because it was also not good for him to get that upset, right? So I don't know how many times that they'd be like, "You just need to feed that baby." I was like, "You don't understand. He just got done eating a whole big ass plate of food. If he eats any more, he's gonna throw up." You know what I mean? So it's something. It's sad also that people stare at people with special needs. You know what I'm saying? Now, I might look and smile and go, oh, that's a pretty baby. But you know what I'm talking about, the dirty stares. It's sickening to me. I think all special needs children are angels from above. God only gives the hardest task to those who can handle it. And Miss Rhonda, I just want to say that you're an amazing human being. I want you to always keep your head up no matter what nobody tries to say about you, because you doing that thing. And your baby is thriving and living and doing well in this universe. And you are working your tail off to make sure that happens. You know what I'm saying? So no matter what nobody tries to say about you, you know that you are doing the best. You know, and the doctors know, and the people around you know the truth. You know what I'm saying? And you should feel like a queen, because that is the most amazing thing you are doing, and the hardest job that anybody could have. Yeah, the calorie intake, you got to make sure they get enough calories, or they'll get what they call wasting syndrome. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. You have to make sure they get enough calories. You have to make sure that their intake is, it's a lot. See, Happy, you did the best thing though, because you went out and got those resources, and it helps. Also, finding a support group of other parents who have children with your child's disability, whether it's a therapy group like all the kids go to physical therapy together and occupational therapy or whatnot, it can actually be very helpful to reach out to other parents who are going through what you're going through, because they do understand. You know what I'm saying? They understand. They get it. You know, and not everybody gets it. Not everybody understands what you're going through. And so for me, that support system is also very valuable, because they might know a resource that you need. That's another good point, Happy. Find resources in your area for support groups for parents, because it can help. You know what I'm saying? They understand what you're going through on a daily basis. Some people don't understand all the things that we go through as parents with children with different abilities. Like, what works for my child may not work for your child, right? And I may be going through something more crazy on this side, but you may be going through something more crazy on that side. See, you learned what to do. And here's the thing, we learn while we're in the middle of it, in the thick of it, right? Um, we learn about how to advocate for our child. We learn about, so much that we have to do as parents for our children. Like, I learned um, how to do all of these. I can teach every single one of you how to do these stretches to make sure the heel cords and all that stretch out, to do the range of motion stretches, because I had to do it for so long. Occupational therapy, if you have a small child with autism and or physical disabilities or mental, peg puzzles are their best friend. Doing those little things where they have to put things in the little spots with their fingertips and using their fingertips to do things. You know what I'm saying? In occupational therapy, that was one of the main things. Peg puzzles are awesome when they're very young. And that's a good thing to gift other parents, even if their child is normal. Those peg puzzles where they have to reach with their fingertips, y'all know exactly which one I'm talking about if you've ever been to occupational therapy with a kid at any point. Those are really good. You know, that's so sad, Miss Rhonda, that anybody would mess with your child in that way, especially a child that's already been through so much. You know what I'm saying? I think that's wrong. And I'm going to say this, Miss Rhonda, you're one amazing person. And I just want to say that I'm proud that I know you. I'm proud that I know you as a parent. You know what I'm saying? I'm proud to know you as a person and how amazing you are and how much you have done for your child and continue to do. And for anybody, you know what I'm saying, to say anything bad about that child, I hope they all, you know, go to Hades for that. Because, you know, I'm going to say it the nicest way possible, but um, that baby does not deserve or did not deserve for anybody to make fun of her or to try to say anything bad about her in any way, shape, or form. Because that baby is an angel from above and a blessing. That baby is a blessing. Good morning, Miss Jessica Lynn. That baby is a blessing and an angel from above. And anybody that does something like that, I hope they can go straight to you know where. Don't pass, don't go, don't collect $200. I hope you go straight you know where. Um, you know, because that baby right there is a blessing. All children are blessings, but when you have a special needs child that depends on you and depends and is a miracle child that's not supposed to be here but is still here, that is a blessing. Every day that you have them is a blessing. My brother almost lived to be 18 years old, and he was like a baby his entire life. He was almost 18 years old. He wasn't supposed to live, right? But he made it to almost be 18 years old. That was a blessing. Every day I had with him was a blessing. And his smile was, I can't explain it to others, but his smile and his laugh was like hearing the angels laughing in my ear. His smile could light up a room. You could be having the worst day ever and be super depressed, and his smile would just bring brightness into your life and bring the light to you. I couldn't be depressed being around my brother. Hey, Miss Linda. I will say that all of our children, no matter if what their different abilities are, are blessings from above. You know what I'm saying? Every child on this earth is a blessing. And we may have to do things differently as parents, some more so than others, right? But when you are a good parent, you will do whatever you have to make sure your child is okay. Whether you know, no matter what. And Miss Rhonda, I want you to always keep your head up no matter what they try to say. You are raising an angel and you are doing the best for your child, and other people can kiss your lily white ass. I'm sorry, but I gotta say it. I mean, I think you white. I'm just saying it may be brown for all I know, but it may be yellow, green, or orange. You know, but tell them to kiss it. You are doing what is best for that baby, and that's all that matter. That baby is all that matters. And anybody who tries to make fun of that or do any of that, they're not good people and they deserve whatever happens to them. Karma's going to come back and bite him in the ass, Miss Rhonda. You are raising an angel and you are doing everything for that baby and spending your whole life making sure that baby's okay. Miss Rhonda, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you this right now. we got those same looks with my brother, even though he didn't. His was a little different, right? It was because he was drawed up, like his arms and his legs, and he was always in a car seat because he couldn't sit in a regular seat like other people, right? Because he had severe cerebral palsy and a lot of other conditions. Um, and they'll never understand the blessing that those children's are. Their smile, their laugh, and you can communicate through your eyes. I can't explain it to nobody else, but you know in your heart of heart when that kid's upset, when that kid's in pain, when they're happy, like you know their emotion through feelings, through like internally. You can't explain it to nobody else. Like you can't explain the connection that you have. I knew when my brother was upset, I knew when my brother was happy, and he couldn't verbally tell me, but I knew it. He could look at me in my eyes, and I knew exactly what he was trying to communicate to me, what he was saying to me, how he was feeling, everything. If you have a nonverbal person in your life, whether it be autism or what disorder it may be, you know how they're feeling, what they're going through, just by a simple look. And it's a thing that only people who have had that in their life can really understand, because other people think you're crazy when you say that, but you're not. You know exactly what they're feeling, like what they're trying to communicate to you, even if they can't verbally communicate to you. And their smile, I'm going to say this right now, their laugh can light up a whole room. And it's like the angels have come down and you're getting to glimpse an angel on in real life. In real life. It's not something that you can explain to others, but it gives you so much, like you learn so much from that. I also want to say thank you, Miss Joy Perry, because I'm going to tell you that anybody, Miss Rhonda, anybody in this chat, Miss American Honey, everybody that has ever been a caregiver of any kind, you deserve your praises. Because being a caregiver is not easy. You know what I'm saying? That's true, American Honey. If you're around them long enough, you learn their language, even if it's nonverbal. I just want to say to Miss Rhonda, you are one amazing human being in my eyes. And I don't, you know, I'm going to say this, that's, my son is my angel baby. He wasn't supposed to be here. And I feel super blessed that he is. You know what I'm saying? And no matter where life takes him in the future, I just hope he's happy, as always. And I will love him through it all, unconditional. Um, you know, to watch the angels that come through life, you know what I'm saying? They give us so much joy, even though sometimes there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of things we go through, a lot of stress to make sure they're okay, and all this other stuff. They're not stressed. You know what I'm saying? They don't feel that stress. They just feel blessed, you know? And I think it's one of the hardest things that you go through, but also one of the most rewarding at the same time. Um, and Miss Rhonda, I'm glad that you educate people because a rare disorder and whatnot, some people don't understand it, you know, and they need to go through understanding. Um, we had to do, when my son was little, we had to do AFOs. I don't know if y'all had to do, Miss Rhonda, AFOs, but at one time they were talking about doing the one that goes all the way up, but he didn't have a problem with his gait with his hips, so they didn't do that kind. We did AFOs just on the from the shin to the ankle to keep his feet in you know, proper form because that is 100% true happy. Special needs kids should 1000% be at like a no. All kids should be off limits, but specifically you're making fun of special needs people and special needs kids. Uh, you deserve a special place in hell for that. Hey, Racing Stars Love. To mess with special needs kids and special needs, you know, um, people, you really deserve a new place in hell for that. I think a lot of us, you know, we have family members and or people we know or people we love that have some form of different ability. Um, I don't really like saying disability sometimes because they have different abilities. My brother had a girlfriend, I use air quotes, who she had a form of autism to where she would never grow up. Um, yeah, we had an amazing brace lady that my son absolutely adored. He loved her so much. In fact, I need to go. I really do need to show her how big he's gotten and let her see him now. Um, but we did the customized, and I'm gonna tell you something. Them damn things ain't cheap. If you go look at that bill, and whatnot, those damn AFOs are like 2,000 a leg. It's like 1,000 or 2,000 for each brace. They are not cheap because they formed them to the children's feet. Those things ain't cheap by no stretch of the imagination. They are not cheap. Those braces are not cheap. He also had to have one of those helmets when he was little, and I had to pay for that out of pocket and whatnot. And he did have the soft spots that didn't close up as well because of him being born so premature and being so little. He don't have to do that now, but he did when he was little. Did they ever talk about Miss Rhonda about putting the do they do the because they were talking about this with my son, but it ended up not needing it. But we were talking about it for a minute. You know that thing that they put between while they're laying down, where they put the bar between the thighs and the legs to keep it straight. They were talking about doing that. They were talking about doing that. You know exactly what I'm talking about, then, Miss Rhonda. Them things is not cheap, child. But they do have a thing that they can use for to help with stretches and stuff, and to help get the legs to keep from pointing inward. where they put a bar between the knees and they put it between the thigh, and then they put one between like where the shins are or something, and it keeps the legs stable and in place, something like that. They were talking about that, and then they have one where I think they do it on the ankles and the knees, where it's a I can't remember what it's called, but it's a bar that goes between to keep everything. And when they do the surgery, they use that. You know the surgery I'm talking about, where they straighten everything out, and then they put the cast on and do the bar thing and all that other stuff. Alex ended up only needing he ended up needing cord lengthening surgery on both knees and both ankles. So he has scars on the back of his legs, and Alex will tell you it was the most painful surgery he ever had to go through. It was very painful. And while we talking about milk, Watcher, good morning, Watcher. I will say, I don't. My brother did goat's milk. That helped him. Now I love milk. I don't be talking about my milk like that. No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, you have to be very careful then with her to make sure she doesn't have any bumps or falls or anything like that, because that could be extremely dangerous. My brother had what they called I think it's called not a strawberry, but it's something. It's where they have that little rise right there. It was on his head, and if he fell and hit it, it could unalive him. I forget what that thing was called. Um, but I forgot what it was called now. I know it's not the strawberry mark because that's the one that looks like a discoloration. I forgot what it's called. It's been so many years. So many years. There is that thing too. Happy that some people need a specific diet. That certain things do affect them differently. No, I'm not talking about his soft spot. He had it was a like what do you call it? It was like it looked like a bump on his head, but it was really a tumor or whatnot. And if he was to fall on it or hit it or anything like that, it can unlike. I mean, it had a specific name for it, but I forgot what it was called. Um, you know what I'm saying? But yeah. Um, I will say this. Happy also, my son had a shit ton of ear infections and almost had to have tubes in his ears. But when we went to the ear, nose, and throat doctor, they found out that it was because he had allergies real bad. And when we started him on the correct dosages of allergy meds, his ear infections completely quit. I mean, completely. He stopped having them altogether. So we would take Singular in the morning, a Singular Chew in the morning, and Zyrtec at night. And that was his great combination. They tried nasal sprays on him, but they gave him headaches real bad. He didn't do well with the nasal sprays. So we started Singular Chew in the morning and Zyrtec at night. Because Zyrtec makes you sleepy. So we would give that to him only at nighttime. And early in the morning, he would take his Singular, and he stopped having all kinds of allergies. Now, I will tell y'all this. My son had a problem when he would eat, for some reason, when he would eat like ranch dressing on a salad. If I didn't wipe his face off and he got it on his face would break out. Like, that's the only food that did that to him. And for some reason, it was always ranch. And he loved ranch. Didn't upset his stomach, had no problems with his stomach. But for some reason, if it stayed on his cheeks or on his face, like I would have to wipe it off right away. For some reason, it broke out his face and it turned it red. It ain't done that now that he's older, but for some reason when he was little, I don't know what it was, but it was like his skin on his face was super sensitive to stuff. Um, but when he got older, it never did that. It was crazy. That is true. That is true, Miss Rhonda. Emotional support animals are really awesome and help so many people through so many things. I'm going to tell you this: my animals have always been a lifeline for me. I love my animals with everything in me. I think animals keep us all sane, and they calm us when people piss us off or you're upset about something. You just go pet your puppy dog and just look how, just love them, and it just makes you feel so much better. You know what I'm saying? It's good for the mental and it can help with physical because when my son was little, I had my two senior dogs. One of my dogs, by the time he was little, was like 25 years old. The other one was like 15, 14. But believe it or not, he would try to get to the animal and it helped him with his physical stuff. Like when he had his walker or whatnot, and when he wore his braces, I could get him to do more steps trying to get to the animals. When we would go outside, my neighbor that was to the left of me used to have horses, and we used to go out there all the time, and he would pet the horses, and he would go outside and want to play with the animals, and doing that helped him with his physical therapy a lot of the times. Like he would bend down, get back up, and play with the animals. And doing that, petting the ducks, I had at one time. I had a I had a goose that would literally follow my son around like a dog. Like I'm not joking you. Would walk right beside him, and this goose was as tall as him at the time. This is a big old white goose, right? And we named him 50 Cent. And my son could pet this goose like a dog. This goose would put his head on my son's shoulder and hug him. Like I'm not joking to you, straight up hug him. And if any other animal tried to get near my son, like in a disparaging manner, this goose would try to attack people over my son. He was very protective of my son, and his name was 50 Cent. We called him 50 because he used to come in like a B-52 bomber when he'd fly, so that's why we named him 50 Cent. But this goose absolutely loved my son, and would walk around with him in the yard and would watch him like a hawk. Like I'd be walking my son. Obviously, my son has cerebral palsy. My son's not walking in the yard by himself, right? I'm holding his hand because he has falls, real easy falls. Although by liars will tell you that my son never went outside. Hey, Georgia girl, love. Liars will tell you that my son never went outside, but that's bullshit because obviously he had animals that he wanted to go see. And we would take when my neighbors had the horses. Believe it or not, those horses didn't like a lot of people because they were abused previously to my neighbor getting them. And those horses would put their heads down to where my son could hug them. And one of the horses one day sniffed his braces on his legs, his AFOs, and and just rubbed all over him with their head. It was the cutest thing. Like she would take her head and just rub all over him. And they were super gentle with him. Animals know. I will say this, animals know when a person has a disability or a different ability. Because even dogs that would like jump on me wouldn't jump up on him. They would sit patiently at his feet. Like these dogs normally would jump up on you, try to get attention, but with him, they knew, it's like they knew they couldn't do that without me even having to say a word. Right? Like they would sit in front of him and not jump and do all those things. Even if they were excited, they wouldn't jump on him like they would me. The horses would bend down to his level to get loving from him. And they would I'm just telling you, animals can sense some amazing things. The goose took it as his personal duty to protect my son at all cost. I had, Miss Wanda, I had two poodles. One of them was a miniature full-blooded poodle. The other one was a miniature poodle mixed with a feist. She looked like a Lopsa or a Shih Tzu, but technically she was half feist, half poodle, and her hair just laid in waves. She was beautiful. But all of them, I never really had to get onto any of my animals for jumping on him or anybody else's when we would go visit. There was this one dog that my Mimi had who hated kids. Absolutely could not stand children, was afraid of them, would go hide in the corner or hide under the bed when kids came over. When my son came over, this dog would lay down in his lap and wouldn't move. She would try to bite anybody who messed with him. She loved the ground he walked on. And this dog couldn't stand kids. Was scared of them. Didn't like them. But my son she loved. She absolutely adored my son. I think that's the cool thing about animals. Is that they can sense when someone has special needs. Whether it be physical or whatever. My son has always had a great connection with animals, even when he was little. Animals that didn't like people would go up to him and love all over him. The horses that were afraid of people would come up and just love all over him. Like, I'm not joking you when I say these horses, before my neighbors got them, were severely abused. I am totally not joking to you. My neighbors started trying to bring them out of their shells. That's how he got them, was because they were basically down here when they find horses that are abused, they will give them away for free as long as you have the land and barn and means to take care of them. So he adopted these two horses from the Humane Society. Of course, he had to get their feet worked on. Their feet were severely, messed up. Whiskey was scared of men, really bad, scared of men. Somebody had shot near his head, and not in the head, but near him. So if he heard gunshots, he would freak out. He was scared of guns in general, scared of men because the dude that had had him previously would hit him and do bad things to him. So Whiskey only liked women, and very few women. He was very, very, like, he would try to kick you and bite you and nip at you. Believe it or not, and Lucy was a quarter horse. She didn't like a lot of people either. But when my son would go up there near that fence, Whiskey and Lucy would try to fight each other on who was going to get close to him. Never once tried to kick at him, never once tried to nip at him, never once tried to bite him. And anybody else they would have tried to bite. Anybody else they would have tried to do these things. But they absolutely would put their heads down and let him, and they would rub all over my son and just let him hug them and love them, and so gentle with him. And he was the only person that could really do anything with these horses because of their abuse. They trusted him. You know what I'm saying? Even as a little kid, they trusted him. See, that's the most awesome thing, Miss Rhonda, right there, is to have an animal like that. Animals' loves is unconditional. They absolutely love us unconditionally. That's why I can't understand why anybody would abuse an animal, because they are super unconditional and loving and love us no matter what. No matter what, they love us. Our animals are everything. I'm gonna tell you this. I love animals more than I'll ever love people. Uh, Animals they're the sweetest things. I'm the same way, Miss Watcher. I think I'll always have at least one. At least one. Animals are innocent, beautiful little cherubs who do nothing wrong. Just like I've said before, you know, a lot of breeds get bad names. And I'm going to say this, most of the time it's not the animal, it's the owner, and or something happened to them as a puppy, whether it be abuse, whether it be fear. Most animals only turn to biting and doing bad things because of either it's a learned behavior, the dog is super nervous, or has, a person is not doing right um, by the animal. One thing you never do, don't ever corner an animal. Ever do that. There was this lady who I know who had her dog put to sleep, and I still cry about it. I begged her to let me take this dog. I begged her. I said, please, please let me have the dog. Don't put him to sleep. Please, I beg of you. Because I knew it wasn't the dog's fault why he bit at her. She cornered him and threatened him with a broom. She threatened him with a broom. And I knew it was because the dog was afraid. The dog was scared. She wouldn't let me have him. No, he went crazy. He tried. No, you're just a shit human. And I begged her before she put this dog down and took it to the vet and had it put down. I said, please let me have him. Please. You know what I'm saying? I begged, but obviously I can't do nothing. It's not my animal, right? I couldn't take him because she had to give him to me, right? I couldn't just go, take him like I would want to. And I begged her. I mean, I straight up begged, please give me that dog before you do that. Because I knew it wasn't the dog's fault. And I knew the dog wasn't mean. And the dog wasn't. Because that dog absolutely loved and adored me when he was around me. He was big as a fucking horse. Huge ass dog. But the sweetest big baby. And I knew it was because she cornered him in a corner and threatened him with a damn broom. And she should have never did that to that dog. And to this day, I'm still pissed off about that. I'm still mad about it. And I wished I could have got that baby before she did what she did. Because that baby didn't deserve that. And it still breaks my heart. I still cry about it. And I will never forget him. And his name was Ricky Bobby. Okay? And I still want to cry about it because that baby didn't deserve that. Okay? Um, that was a good dog. And because of a shit owner doing something, that dog got put to sleep. And that dog didn't deserve that shit. I'm sorry, it breaks my heart every time I talk about it. I begged that lady for that dog. I begged her and absolutely begged her to give him to me. Because I knew that it wasn't the dog's fault. And a lot of times when animals do that stuff, it's because of a really crap owner or, not teaching the dog correctly, not training the dog, you know what I'm saying? Letting them get a food aggressive, picking at them until they become aggressive, stuff like that. And they think it's cute when they're little to get them to growl and pick at them about their food and different things. Hold on just a minute, y'all. Sorry about that. Had a phone call coming in, had to answer it, and everything. Sometimes you gotta answer your phone. You know what I mean? Um, so I had to answer it. That was family member, whatnot. So I was like, "What's up? How you doing?" Um, but I want to say this to you all here today. I think you are all amazing people. I think you have hearts of gold. You have good intention, And I want you to all keep smiling. No matter what somebody tries to do to you. Hey, Roddy, love. No matter what somebody tries to do to you, no matter how much somebody tries to push you down, I want you to keep standing firm, keep standing tall, keep smiling, and don't let their evil negativity get to you. Karma will come back and bite them in the ass for all the things that they've done to you. Just know that. It may not happen when you expect it to or when you want it to, but it will. Karma always has a way, right? When you do bad things to good people, it comes back to you. It always does in one way or another. And if you continue to do bad, bad will continue to happen to you. That's just the way life is, you know. But I do want to say that I am fixing to jump off here. I want to tell y'all all that I love you so much. And I'm super appreciative of every person that I've met along this journey. And I am super proud of all the amazing accomplishments that each one of you have done. And if nobody told you today, I'm proud of you. If nobody told you today you're loved, if nobody told you today you're appreciated, if nobody told you today, I want you to know that you are cared about and that you are an amazing person, inside and out. You are beautiful inside and out. No matter what nobody else thinks or says, right? You got to know it yourself and keep smiling. Also, my dog, I've done taught him how to smile. I'll tell him to show me the teethuses, and when I scratch it and when I love him, he'll look at me sometimes when he wants to go outside. 'Cause this dog don't make a lot of racket. He don't yelp, he don't growl, he don't bark. So the way when he has to go outside and go potty, he don't alert. He smiles at you with a big toothy grin when he has to go potty. Yes, he does that. I love his toofuses. But I want to tell y'all all that you're amazing, and I love every single one of you. If you have a watcher, do you have a live set up for later? Are you going to do a ride along, anything, so we can tell everybody that's here? I do know that Miss Michelle Meltdown is going to be doing a live at 12:30 for those who want to go. She's going to be exposing someone. I'm not sure who. I'm not exactly sure what's going to be going on there, but, you know, I just wanted, you know, I try to share the wealth, share the love. If anybody else has a live that you're going to be doing, please do make sure you say it in chat, share your links, let me know. You know what I'm saying? So I can let others know, and we can love on each other, share up each other and whatnot. And so I will see you all later. Much love, hugs and kisses. Thank you to all my angels. Bye.
I'm from the TUBELO. I'm reppin' my hood, so love I'm gon' show from the TUBELO. I'm reppin' my hood to the day that I go from the TUBELO. I'm reppin' my hood, so love I'm gon' show from the TUBELO. I'm reppin' my hood to the day that I go.
I'm from the west side, we don't need no introduction, this was the best ride. We all big boy rolling and holding, come take a test drive. Hilldale, Evergreen, Glenkirk, Outer Street, bending every corner on the west, and that's where I'll be. Sunroof back, captain seat banging down 1800, chunking up the deuce to my post slanging down on 1800. Show no love to the ladies that's training round on 1800, making time stand still, crystalline swinging down on 1800. Watching out for them rubberheads that be staying round on 1800. Big rims and low pros be blanging round on 1800. Better completely change the way you're thinking about round 1800. Really hate to see you boys get left slanking around 1800. Out the street got some history, just let Captain C lay it out. If I don't finish it all on this one, let the second verse break it out. Remember the blue war promising OG standing back there by 60 deep. Bull walking, car blue, a big Anthony Hughes and P.
I'm from the TUBELO. I'm reppin' my